Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Saṅgham saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Friends, tonight our topic is a dialogue between a wife and a husband. This is based on a special discourse delivered by the Buddha. This discourse is from middle-length teachings of the Buddha, Majjhima Nikaya, the Sutta number 44, Chula Vedalla Sutta. This is the shorter discourse, a series of Q&A, questions and answers. Friends, in the city of Rajagaha, in the time of the Buddha, there was a nice couple, husband and wife. They both were nice because they both were practicing spirituality. You know, spirituality is very important for life. We do not necessarily be religious, but each and everybody should be a spiritual person. We must have a spiritual life. They both practice Visakha and Dhammadinna. Visakha was the husband. Dhammadinna was the wife. As the Buddha was residing at Veluvana monastery at Rajagaha, the couple Visakha and Dhammadinna, they both practiced at home. While they were practicing, though they were of course rich family, a rich merchant family in the city, like millionaires or billionaires, if not billionaires, millionaires. They have good connection with the king. So one day Visakha was the husband. Together with king, he visited the Buddha, where he listened to the Buddha's teaching. After listening to that teaching, he became a stream enterer, Sotapanna. Thereafter, at home, he was mindful. He was practicing what? Abandonment of defilement. Destruction of defilement. As he was practicing further and further, he became a once returner and thereafter a non-returner as well at home. Not necessarily to become a monk, to become a stream enterer, once returner or non-returner. So that is what happened to him. He became a non-returner. Then he thought that what is the use of clinging to this wealth, this much wealth, properties? I don't want this now. That's how things happen. With a clear understanding, one thinks not to grasp things, not to cling to things, but to be happy, contented. So he decided, oh, I don't want this stuff. I will give all this to my wife, and I will go to the monastery to become a monastic. With that intention, he discussed with his wife Dhamma. When he put this idea, she said, no, I don't want this either. I also don't want this stuff. I'm also going to go to the nunnery. So they both wanted to. But as she said that she wants to relinquish these things, abandon all these things, Visakha told her that then you better go to a nunnery. For this purpose, for her visit to the nunnery, when Visakha, as one of the king's friends, as he said this to the king arranged and decorated the whole city for her to visit the nunnery to get her ordination. She was taken in a palanquin. This is a special vehicle-like palanquin. So she went to the nunnery, and after some time, after her ordination, she wanted to go to a far distance place to practice isolatedly. And she practiced, and within couple days, weeks, sometimes she became an Arahant, not only the stream enterer, one-returner, non-returner, but she got the fourth stage of the holy life, which is called Arahantship. Now she is an Arahant. But Visakha, still at home, he is a non-returner. So you see, now the couple is not a normal but noble. Arya couple, noble couple. One day, Visakha visited her. As she came back to the nunnery, Visakha wanted to see her. And then the lay follower Visakha went to the bhikkhuni. Now she is bhikkhuni Dhamma, and after paying homage to her, he sat down at one side and asked her. Now he wanted to ask questions, clarify some points, something which are not clear to him. It is actually not only to clarify these things, but he wanted to understand, he wanted to sort of test her knowledge. So Visakha, wanted to understand what is personality. Personality belief is a bond, is a fetter. It is the first fetter through which we all are bound to samsara. Now he wants to understand, first he wanted to understand not the personality belief, but what you call personality. He asked, lady, personality is said. What is called personality by the Blessed One? Then she said, friend Visakha, now this noble lady, Dhamma answers the question of her former husband, Visakha. This is not Visakha, famous Visakha. Visakha was the chief benefactress of the Buddha, Visakha. But this person is Visakha, is a male. So, friend Visakha, this is the answer. These 5 aggregates affected by clinging are called personality. That is what is called personality. In Pali, Sakkaya. Sakkaya. What is personality? So her answer is, these 5 aggregates affected by clinging are called personality by the Blessed One. That is what the Blessed One said. What did the Buddha said? That is the form aggregate affected by clinging, the feeling aggregate affected by clinging, the perception aggregate affected by clinging, the formation aggregate affected by clinging, and the consciousness aggregate affected by clinging. These 5 aggregates affected by clinging are called personality belief, personality by the Blessed One. That is what she said. Saying, good lady, the lay follower Visakha delighted and rejoiced in the Bhikkhuni Dhammadinna's words. Then he asked her a further question. What is the further question? What is the next question? So this is a dialogue. This questions and answers. So this next, he asked, lady, origin of personality is said. What is called the origin of personality by the Blessed One? Answer. Friend Visakha, it is craving which brings renewal of being. Renewal of being means renewal of existence, is accompanied by delight and lust, and delights in this and that. That is craving for sensual pleasures, craving for being, craving for existence, and craving for non-being, non-existence. This is called the origin of personality by the Blessed One. Then he asked another question. Lady, cessation of personality is said. What is called the cessation of personality by the Blessed One? Answer. Friend Visakha, it is the remainderless fading away and ceasing. Remainderless fading away and ceasing. The giving up, relinquishing, letting go and rejecting of that same craving. That is called the cessation of personality by the Blessed One. Next he asked, lady, the way leading to the cessation of personality, the way leading to the cessation of personality is said. What is called the way leading to the cessation of personality by the Blessed One? Answer. Friend Visakha, it is just this noble eightfold path. That is right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Then his next question is, lady, is that clinging the same as these 5 aggregates affected by clinging, or is the clinging something apart from the 5 aggregates affected by clinging? She answered, friend Visakha, that clinging is neither the same as these 5 aggregates affected by clinging, nor is clinging something apart from the 5 aggregates affected by clinging. It is the desire and lust in regard to the 5 aggregates affected by clinging, that is the clinging there. Oh, that is the clinging there. Now the personality belief, personality view. So personality view means personality belief. So Visakha asked this question, lady, how does personality view come to be? Personality belief come to be. That the first fetter, remember that the first fetter of the 10, through which we all are bound to samsara. Here, friend Visakha, this is the answer. Here, friend Visakha, an untaught ordinary person who has no regard for noble ones and is unskilled and undisciplined in their Dhamma, who has no regard for true men and is unskilled and undisciplined in their Dhamma, regards material form as self. This is actually not the material form. This is form. In the text, the word given is rupa. Rupa not necessarily material. This word material is the translator has added this word, which is incorrect here. Anyway, regards material form as self, or self as possessed of form, or material form. This is form, not material. It's a form. Form as in self, or self as in form. He regards feelings as self, or self as possessed of feeling, or feeling as in self, or self as in feeling. He regards perception as self, or self as possessed of perception, or perception as in self, or self as in perception. He regards formations as self, or self as possessed of formations, or formations as in self, or self as in formations. He regards consciousness as self, or self as possessed of consciousness, or consciousness as in self, or self as in consciousness. That is how personality view comes to be. Friends, this is what happens. The untaught ordinary person, the normal persons, worldly people, worldlings, they cling to these 5 aggregates. 5 aggregates are not physical, not material. That is why I said that the added term material here is an added one. It is not in the text. So, 5 aggregates. Normal, general, worldly people think, referring to 5 aggregates, in 4 different ways. They cling to 5 aggregates. 5 multiplied by 4 becomes 20 times. 20. That means in 20 different ways, the normal person, not noble person, but normal person, general people, they cling to 5 aggregates. That attachment to 5 aggregates is called personality belief or personality view. That is the meaning. His next question, Visakha's next question is, lady, how does personality view not come to be? Is understood. The other side, the other way around. She says, here friend Visakha, a well-taught noble disciple. That is well-taught. This is the well-taught person, the one who has listened to the Dhamma well, who knows the Dhamma well, right? Who has regard for noble ones and is skilled and disciplined in their Dhamma, who has regard for true men and is skilled and disciplined in their Dhamma, does not regard material form as self, or self as possessed of form, or form as in self, or self as in form. He does not regard feeling as self, or self as possessed of feeling, or feeling as in self, or self as in feeling. He does not regard perception as self, or self as possessed of perception, or perception as in self, or self as in perception. He does not regard formations as self, or self as possessed of formation, or formations as in self, or self as in formation. He does not regard consciousness as self, or self as possessed of consciousness, or consciousness as in self, or self as in consciousness. That is how personality belief does not come to be. Now, Visakha asks another question. Lady, what is the Noble Eightfold Path? Friend Visakha, she says, Friend Visakha, it is just this Noble Eightfold Path, that is right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. That is the Noble Eightfold Path. Then he wants to understand this. Lady, is the Noble Eightfold Path conditioned or unconditioned? The answer is, friend Visakha, the Noble Eightfold Path is conditioned. It is conditioned. Then he asks another question which is again connected with the Noble Eightfold Path. You know, in the Noble Eightfold Path, there are three aggregates, three different trainings, three aggregates which are called three aggregates. Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Referring to this, he asked this question. Lady, are the three aggregates included by the Noble Eightfold Path, or is the Noble Eightfold Path included by the three aggregates? That's the question. She answers, the three aggregates are not included by the Noble Eightfold Path, friend Visakha. But the Noble Eightfold Path is included by the three aggregates. How? Right speech, right action, and right livelihood. These states are included in the aggregates of virtue, Sila. Right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. These states are included in the aggregate of concentration, Samadhi. Right view and right intention, these states are included in the aggregate of wisdom, Panya. That is how the three aggregates are to be included into the Noble Eightfold Path. Now about concentration. He asked these questions. Lady, what is concentration? What is the basis of concentration? What is the equipment of concentration? What is the development of concentration? Not only one question. First question is, what is concentration? unification of mind. Unification of mind. You see, it is not the one-pointedness of mind. Ekagata. It is given in accordance with the tradition, with our tradition, what we follow today from our commentaries. It is the ekagata. Ekagata means going to one point, one-pointedness. But here, according to the text, it is very clear. This is an Arahant. Arahant lady is given this answer. This is the Buddha's words. She says, unification of mind. Friend, Visakha is concentration. That is what is called concentration. It is not ekagata. Unification of mind. Friend, is concentration. The 4 foundations of mindfulness are the basis of concentration. Basis of concentration. What is the basis? He asked. The answer is 4 foundations of mindfulness are the basis of concentration. Then the 4 right kinds of striving are the equipment of concentration. For the concentration, we have to have supportive things, equipment. What are the equipment? The 4 right kinds of striving. Then the repetition, development and cultivation of these same states is the development of concentration therein. That is what is called bhavana. Samadhi bhavana. Then is a very important, this is another very important question regarding formations. Let's see. Lady, how many formations are there? Formations. This is a very important one. Please remember this. Give attention and understand this clearly. She says, there are these 3 formations, friend Visakha. The bodily formation, the verbal formation, and the mental formation. But lady, what is the bodily formation? What is the verbal formation? What is the mental formation? He asked. In-breathing and out-breathing, friend Visakha, are the bodily formation. That is her answer. Applied thought and sustained thought are the verbal formation. Perception and feeling are the mental formation. That is the answer. Then he wants to ask another question referring to the same thing. But lady, why are in-breathing and out-breathing the bodily formation? Why are applied thought and sustained thought the verbal formation? Why are formation and feeling the mental formation? Answer. Friend Visakha, in-breathing and out-breathing are bodily. These are bodily. As the Buddha said, this itself is another body. In-breath and out-breath is another body. In the discourse of mindfulness of breathing of the middle-length teachings of the Buddha, Buddha clearly said this breath, in-breath, out-breath, this breath is another body. That means we have 2 types of bodies here. This corporeality and the breath. So here she says, in-breath and out-breath, in-breathing and out-breathing are bodily. These are states bound up with the body. That is why in-breathing and out-breathing are the bodily formation. First one applies thought and sustains thought, and subsequently one breaks out into speech. That is why applied thoughts and sustained thought are the verbal formation. Perception and feeling are mental. These are states wound up with the mind. That is why perception and feeling are the mental formation. Now his questions. Next question is about the attainment of cessation. Attainment of cessation of feeling and perception. Lady, how does the attainment of the cessation of perception and feeling, this is called what you call Nirodha Samapatti. Nirodha Samapatti or Sanya Vedaita Nirodha. The cessation of both Sanya, perception, and feeling, Sanya and Vedana. The answer, friend Visakha, when a bhikkhu is attaining the cessation of perception and feeling, it does not occur to him, I shall attain the cessation of perception and feeling, or I am attaining the cessation of perception and feeling, or I have attained the cessation of perception and feeling. But rather his mind has previously been developed in such a way that it leads him to that state. He asks another question. Lady, when a bhikkhu is attaining the cessation of perception and feeling, which states sees first? Which states sees first in him? The bodily formation, the verbal formation, or the mental formation? Answer is, friend Visakha, when a bhikkhu is attaining the cessation of perception and feeling, first the verbal formation ceases, then the bodily formation, then the mental formation. Next question is, lady, how does emergence from the attainment of the cessation of perception and feeling come to be? Answer, friend Visakha, when a bhikkhu is emerging from the attainment of cessation and perception and feeling, it does not occur to him, I shall emerge from the attainment of the cessation of perception and feeling, or I am emerging from the attainment of the cessation of perception and feeling, or I have emerged from the attainment of the cessation of perception and feeling. But rather his mind has previously been developed in such a way that it leads him to that state. Again he asked, lady, when a bhikkhu is emerging from the attainment of the cessation of perception and feeling, which states arise first in him? The bodily formation, the verbal formation, or mental formation? Answer, friend Visakha, when a bhikkhu is emerging from the attainment of the cessation of perception and feeling, first the mental formation arises, then the bodily formation, then the verbal formation. Now he asks another question. Lady, when a bhikkhu has emerged from the attainment of perception and attainment of the cessation of perception and feeling, how many kinds of contact touch him? Friend Visakha, when a bhikkhu has emerged from the attainment of the cessation of perception and feeling, 3 kinds of contact touch him. What are the 3? Voidness contact, signless contact, and desireless contact. Next he asks, lady, When a bhikkhu has emerged from the attainment of the cessation of perception and feeling, to what does his mind incline? To what does it lean? To what does it tend? Answer. Friend Visakha, when a bhikkhu has emerged from the attainment of the cessation of perception and feeling, his mind inclines to seclusion, leans to seclusion, tends to seclusion. Now referring to feeling, he wants to ask another question. Referring to feeling, lady, how many kinds of feeling are there? Friend Visakha, there are 3 kinds of feeling. Pleasant feeling, painful feeling, and neither painful nor pleasant feeling. But lady, what is pleasant feeling? What is painful feeling? What is neither painful nor pleasant feeling? Answer. Friend Visakha, whatever is felt bodily or mentally or pleasant as pleasant, bodily or mentally as pleasant and soothing is pleasant feeling. Whatever is felt bodily or mentally as painful and hurting is painful feeling. Whatever is felt bodily or mentally as neither soothing nor hurting is neither painful nor pleasant feeling. Lady, what is pleasant and what is painful in regard to pleasant feeling? What is painful and what is pleasant in regard to painful feeling? What is pleasant and what is painful in regard to neither painful nor pleasant feeling? Answer. Friend Visakha, pleasant feeling is pleasant when it persists and painful when it changes. Painful feeling is painful when it persists and pleasant when it changes. Neither painful nor pleasant feeling is pleasant when there is knowledge of it and painful when there is no knowledge of it. Now underlying tendencies. Underlying tendencies are called in Pali anusaya. Anusaya. Lady, what underlying tendency underlies pleasant feeling? What underlying tendency underlies painful feeling? What underlying tendency underlies neither painful nor pleasant feeling? Her answer. Friend Visakha, the underlying tendency to lust underlies pleasant feeling. So you see, when we have underlying tendency to lust, there it underlies pleasant feeling. The underlying tendency to lust underlies pleasant feeling. The underlying tendency to aversion underlies painful feeling. The underlying tendency to ignorance underlies neither painful nor pleasant feeling. These 3 types of feeling. Underlying tendency to pleasant, underlying tendencies to painful, and underlying tendency to neither painful nor pleasant. What are the underlying tendencies? The lust, aversion, and ignorance. You see, lust, aversion, and ignorance. These are the 3. These are the verse 1. Then he asks another question. Lady, that is also referring to the same thing, same underlying tendencies. Lady, does the underlying tendency to lust underlie all pleasant feeling? Does the underlying tendency to aversion underlie all painful feeling? Does the underlying tendency to ignorance underlie all neither painful nor pleasant feeling? She answers, Friend Visakha, the underlying tendency to lust does not underlie all pleasant feeling. The underlying tendency to aversion does not underlie all painful feeling. The underlying tendency to ignorance does not underlie all neither painful nor pleasant feeling. Lady, he asks, Lady, what should be abandoned in regard to pleasant feeling? What should be abandoned in regard to painful feeling? What should be abandoned in regard to neither painful nor pleasant feeling? Answer, Friend Visakha, the underlying tendency to lust should be abandoned in regard to pleasant feeling. So, in regard to pleasant feeling, underlying tendency to lust should be abandoned. The underlying tendency to aversion should be abandoned in regard to painful feeling. So, painful feeling, there is underlying tendency to lust, to aversion. There is underlying tendency to aversion, which is to be abandoned, removed. The underlying tendency to ignorance should be abandoned in regard to neither painful nor pleasant feeling. Now, another question referring to the same thing. Underlying tendencies are not that easy to remove. Anusaya. Anusaya means underlying tendencies. There are tendencies which are underlying, sleeping underneath. Where? Where? In the chest? In the stomach? No. In the brain? No. But in the mind. Lady, does the underlying tendency to lust have to be abandoned in regard to all pleasant feeling? Does the underlying tendency to aversion have to be abandoned in regard to all painful feeling? Does the underlying tendency to ignorance have to be abandoned in regard to all painful feeling? Neither painful nor pleasant feeling. Friend Visakha, the underlying tendency to lust does not have to be abandoned in regard to all pleasant feeling. The underlying tendency to aversion does not have to be abandoned in regard to all painful feeling. The underlying tendency to ignorance does not have to be abandoned in regard to all neither painful nor pleasant feeling. Here, friend Visakha, quite secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unwholesome state, a bhikkhu enters upon and abides in the first jhana, which is accompanied by applied and sustained thought, with rapture and pleasure born of seclusion. With that, he abandons lust, and the underlying tendency to lust does not underlie that. Here a bhikkhu considers thus, when shall I enter upon and abide in that pace that the noble ones now enter upon and abide in? In one who thus generates a longing for the supreme liberations. Grief arises with the longing as a condition. With that, he abandons aversion. and the underlying tendency to aversion does not underlie that. Here, with the abandoning of pleasure and pain, and with the previous disappearance of joy and grief, a bhikkhu enters upon and abides in the fourth jhana, which has neither pain nor pleasure, and purity of mindfulness due to equanimity. With that, he abandons ignorance, and the underlying tendency to ignorance does not underlie that. Now, completely a different question. It is a series of questions and answers. This discourse, whole discourse is a series of questions and answers. Now, completely a different question. Counterparts. Lady, what is the counterpart of pleasant feeling? Other side. Counterpart. The opposite. Friend Visakha, painful feeling is the counterpart of pleasant feeling. It's clear. Then what is the counterpart of painful feeling? Pleasant feeling is the counterpart of painful feeling. Then what is the counterpart of neither painful nor pleasant feeling? Ignorance is the counterpart of neither painful nor pleasant feeling. What is the counterpart of ignorance? True knowledge is the counterpart of ignorance. What is the counterpart of true knowledge? Deliverance is the counterpart of true knowledge. What is the counterpart of deliverance? Nibbana is the counterpart of deliverance. Lady, what is the counterpart of Nibbana? What is the counterpart of Nibbana? Is there an answer? Friend Visakha, she said, Friend Visakha, you have pushed this line of questioning too far. You can't question. You were not able to grasp the limit to questions. There are limitations. When you put it into Nibbana, it is, since it is not a condition, it is unconditioned. Asankhata is unconditioned. You can't show the counterpart of Nibbana. That's right. For the holy life, friend Visakha merges in Nibbana, culminates in Nibbana, ends in Nibbana. If you wish, friend Visakha, go to the Blessed One and ask him about the meaning of this as the Blessed One explains it to you, so you should remember it. That is what she suggested at the end. She suggested him, if you want to understand this further, you better go to the Buddha and ask. Then the lay follower Visakha, having delighted and rejoiced in the Bhikkhuni Dhammadinna's words, rose from his seat, and after paying homage to her, keeping her on his right, he went to the Blessed One. After paying homage to him, he sat down at one side and told the Blessed One his entire conversation with the Bhikkhuni Dhammadinna. When he finished speaking, the Blessed One told him, the Bhikkhuni Dhammadinna is wise. Visakha, the Bhikkhuni Dhammadinna has great wisdom. That is how the Buddha appreciated Dhammadinna, Bhikkhuni Dhammadinna. If you had asked me, the Buddha says, if you had asked me the meaning of this, I would have explained it to you in the same way that the Bhikkhuni Dhammadinna has explained it. Such is its meaning, And so you should remember it. That is what the Blessed One said. The lay follower Visakha was satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's words. Friends, this is the end of this discourse. It's a wonderful discourse. It's a great dialogue between a couple. Not the normal, not the worldlings, but as noble ones, Arya, noble ones, as an Arahant and a non-returner, Anagami. So they had this discussion, they had this conversation, this dialogue. It's a wonderful one for all of us. So let's understand this Dhamma. This is the Dhamma. Though Dhamma Dinna, the Arahant, gave these answers. These are the words of the Buddha. These are the real things that the Buddha wanted to share with others. That is why the Buddha said, if you had asked me the meaning of this, I would have explained it to you in the same way that the Dhammadinna has explained it to you. It's the same thing. Same thing. So that is the Dhamma of the Buddha. Let's understand this Dhamma, these real words of the Buddha. When we understand these real words of the Buddha, we can put this into practice in our daily life so that we can live happily, peacefully, light-heartedly. This is the purpose of this life. This is the purpose of this life. Let's all understand these wonderful teachings of the Buddha. Let's all practice so that we can experience this wonderful bliss, the great bliss of Nibbana here in this very world. May we all attain that real peace, real happiness, coolness of Nibbana. May we all attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.